Good morning, everybody. It's July 21st, 2022. This is my son's Buick Park Avenue, 2000 Buick Park Avenue. Today we're going to be doing the upper intake plenum, the upper intake plenum gasket, and the lower intake manifold gaskets. We're losing coolant. The car, I think, is burning coolant little by little, and it's time to do it before things really go south, if you know what I mean. No offense to Southerners, I love you guys. Got relatives in West Virginia. So you could see some coolant down there in the valley there. Now I noticed on this car that the lower intake gaskets appear to be of the metal frame type, the metal carrier type. But we're going to do them anyway because I don't know the history on this car and I don't know how old those gaskets are. So even though they're metal, it could be time for them to be changed. And I'm going to be in there anyway, so might as well do everything. So this isn't a how-to video. There are plenty of videos on these beautiful 3800 Series 2 motors on how to do this work, and that's all. This video is also for me to make sure I put everything back right. I took photos, but videos are continuous and capture just about every conceivable angle, so that's why I take videos also. This motor is easy to work on. It's one of the best V6s ever made, in my opinion. So this isn't a how-to video, like I said. I just have to, I want to get this done this weekend. So today's Thursday, so I have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If I can't do this job in 4 days, I'm going to sell all of my tools and never touch a wrench again. Now, I should be able to do it in about 4 hours, actually. But I'm not rushing it. Taking my sweet time because this is the first time I'm doing it, and I have a 2002 Buick LeSabre that eventually I'll be doing the same job on, so this is good experience. Radiator drain plug, draining the coolant out. Okay, here I'm just disconnecting the negative of the battery by loosening this 5/8 inch nut. It was easier to get to this nut than to get down there to the side terminal bolt. Okay, I just cleaned off the top of that. I used PB Blaster penetrant to get the nut off, and just wiped off the copper ring terminal there. Nice and clean. It'll make a good connection when I put it back together. And I'm going to clean this one off too. That's your main ground. Goes to the chassis, goes to probably the engine block. Okay, there's two bolts, 8mm, to remove the throttle cable bracket. Then we're going to remove the cables so we can free our throttle body when we take off the resin intake plenum. Okay, I'm still unplugging connectors and things. You could see fuel injectors are unplugged. This purge line. Everything to the throttle body is unplugged, except I need see that stud down there? I need an inverted Torx socket to get this little stud out. So I don't have that, so I have to go to the store and get it. And this vacuum line purge valve comes out as one, slides over a bracket on the front of the motor, metal bracket. I had to hit it with some PB Blaster because it wasn't coming out. And then you have these other vacuum lines that you just unplug. So that's that. So little by little, disassembling. These are different types of fuel connectors. Most of the videos I watch did not have connectors like this with the little metal clip, but to get these off, you press the clip all the way in, and then while you're holding it in, pull the connector out. Don't pull it from the wires. Here you go. Not much pressure in there. All right. As you can see, the fuel rail is out. And I just have to get the right socket. You can't see it, but this stud right here. I have to get the female Torx. There it is, which is known as an E-Torx. I just learned that today. Then I'll be able to get out the upper intake. Okay. Coming along little by little, taking my time. All the electrical is disconnected. All the fuel lines are disconnected. Fuel injectors, obviously. These 3 spark plug wires are over there in the back. The throttle's disconnected. And just little by little, you'll dig into the top of the motor and get this done. So I'm going to do the upper intake gasket, and then the lower intake. Okay, bye-bye. Okay, here are all the fasteners for the upper plenum, the black resin intake, in kind of the positions that they go in, kind of. So it looks like 7 of them are the same. Yeah, 7 of them are the same. A couple of weird ones. Okay, bye. Okay, you got to get that bolt out so you can move this bracket. Otherwise, you won't be able to get the upper intake out. Of course, the bracket is held on by, see that stud down there? I took the nut off for that stud. And that bolt. Then you can move it out of the way. Okay, everything is removed to get the upper intake out soon. Okay, this is that short 10mm size bolt that holds in the rear of the bracket. The front is held on by a nut that also holds in the intake plenum. So it's a stud with a nut on it, and this is the rear bolt for that bracket. Then we could remove the bracket over the stud and off, and then we could get the plenum out. Oops, I missed that one because there was a nut over this bracket, and then there's one of those nuts with the studs through it. A stud nut, I don't know what to call it. So I got to get that right rear one off. So there's one more to go. Okay, correction. These are all the fasteners to get the plenum that go through the plenum. The right rear one, well, this one doesn't go through the plenum. That goes through a bracket, and the other side of the bracket goes over this nut, and then this nut goes on top of it. So you can't just take this nut off and think the plenum's coming off. You have to take this nut off, take the bracket off, and then take this stud off. See? This is just a nut up here, and then this is a stud with a nut at the top, and that goes through that right rear hole, okay? So here's all the fasteners. Take a good look at them. They're kind of in order where they go. So you could think of this one as being the left front stud nut. This is the right. This one's the right rear longer stud nut with the little nut on top. And then there's the little bolt, 10mm head to get the Oh boy. To remove the other side of the bracket that you need to move. Okay, now she's going to come out. Okay everybody, the upper intake, as you can see, is safely removed from the 2000 Buick Park Avenue base. And I'm not sure if this is good or not, what I'm looking at here. This car just had a slow coolant usage. And there was a little coolant on the top of the manifold on the right side in one of the valleys. I'll show you. Well, I spilt a lot of stuff, but kind of built up in here. So I don't know. I don't really know if the upper plenum was bad and or had a bad gasket. But here's the lower. And I'm going to be doing these gaskets as well because, quite frankly, it was a lot of work to get to this point. It wasn't bad. It wasn't hard work, but it was just a lot of things to do. So I don't see any reason not to do the lower intakes while I'm in here, to be honest with you. And plus, I don't know if the lower intake gaskets are bad or not. They look to be metal, but what if they have 50,000 miles on them? I mean, I think it's worth doing. Hopefully, you guys and gals out there think the same. Alright, I flipped the gasket over. And this port right here is clogged with RTV. So, not sure if that was deliberately done or somebody just... Yeah, I'll flip it. That port. It looks like this was done deliberately. And then here's the throttle body. Not sure if this looks okay. I guess it looks okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm just going to remove the EGR mount. There it is. I should just plug it, right? You don't need no stinking EGR. All it does is make the engine run like crap and destroys your plastic intake plenum because of the stovepipe here. This is the stovepipe, ladies and gentlemen. The hot, scalding gases go through there and then come up through that stovepipe into the intake. Yeah, good idea. Good morning, everybody. It's July 22nd, 2022. And here's the upper intake plenum. I just showed you the part number. This is an ATP product. But I didn't like the way they packed it. Styrofoam was everywhere. This little piece of foam was supposed to protect these studs. Horrible. So, hopefully it survived. I mean, it looks great otherwise. Here's the rear vacuum port. Here's the two EGR stovepipes. You just use the one that fits your intake. And here's the PCV fitting. PCV valve. That goes on the left side. That goes over there. And there's a bunch of blue O-rings and six they look like they're metal sleeves or collars, sleeves, yeah, metal. I have no idea what those metal sleeves are for. So here's the manifold. Gaskets look really good. The gasket's already on it. I had to blow out all the styrofoam. This thing was filled with styrofoam bits. So it looks like there's two centering pins here. The studs are already pre-installed, and they already have Loctite on them. No instructions come with it, but you can find instructions on the internet. Next, I'll show you the lower intake manifold gaskets that I bought. These ports, by the way, have black gaskets, as does where the throttle body connects. I'm not sure why they're not orange like the others, but hopefully they're improved. Oh, and there's the metal sleeve to help protect heat from the EGR from damaging this. So that's good that this has the metal sleeve there. So that should be fun. Okay, I'll show you the lower intake gaskets now. Okay, here's the box. Having trouble focusing, sorry. There's all the fun stuff that comes with it. Now these are the metal ones. Oh, one more thing about if you buy the ATP Gray Works, it's packaged upside down in the box. So whatever you do, don't take your knife and cut the tape like this. I mean, do it very carefully because this gasket is right on top and you'll cut right through your gasket. So I didn't know there was no protection on top. I didn't, I did it carefully. So just be careful going back to the ATP Gray Works lower intake. Be careful when you open the box. You don't want to cut your gaskets. Alright, we're back to the Felpro. And look at all this fun stuff. O-rings. More O-rings. Whoa. How would we survive without O-rings? It's like, how would we survive without cell phones? More O-rings. So these are O-rings for the various bits that go in the intake, lower intake. I think 6 of these are fuel injectors, maybe 12 of them. I'm not sure. The coolant elbow, it's probably a coolant elbow and some other things here. Oh, these are nice. Why anyone would even bother with gaskets that are not metal, I just don't understand why. So here are the gaskets. I mean, these are solid. Of course, that's just the base material, the carrier material. Hopefully the black silicone or whatever it is just as durable as the gasket itself. These are pretty heavy too. I like these. They have the little nibs on them for alignment. Here's the 2 side pieces. This is your thermostat and gasket thermostat seal and your thermostat gasket. I didn't take my thermostat off though, so I just did my thermostat. And the gray RTV, very important for the corners. And they show you where to put the gray RTV. Let me see if I could focus on this. Must be these LED lights I have. This thing is just having a hard time focusing. I hope you could see that. The rubber silicone seals must be installed dry without any chemical adhesive. So these seals, you don't use any adhesive on, except in the corners. Okay, well, Merry Christmas. Thank you, Santa, for leaving me all these goodies. Well, it's July 22nd, but you know what? It's Christmas in July when you have all these goodies. All right, see you later. Oh, just a quick mention. It also came with these side sealant strips, but these are not for the 3800. I'm not sure what engine these are for, but I don't know, maybe a different Buick V6, maybe a 3400. I'm not sure. But these are the ones you use for the 3800. There are 2 sets of 6 O-rings in the Felpro kit. Now these look to be the fuel injector ones. I don't know why there are 2 different kinds. Maybe there are 2 different kinds of fuel injectors. I mean, I don't think people pull the injectors out of the rail to do this job. You don't have to. You just pull it out, the whole thing out of the intake as an assembly. And then also the upper intake came with O-rings as well. I believe those are also for the fuel injectors. So you get your pick. You can use the Felpro ones, or you can use the ATP ones. ATP gray works. Good morning, everybody. July 22nd, 2022. Happy birthday, Dad. Now, it's about 88 degrees with over 50% humidity. So it's a little warm out here. So we're going to be removing what some people call this U-bracket here. And then this, where is it? That bracket. Just to get it out of the way. We're going to remove the intake manifold now. Yeah, so it's 88 degrees out. It's 11 a.m. So it's only going to get hotter. That's okay. The Buick's got to get done. Okay, this is the 3800. We're going to take out the intake manifold. All the bolts are loose. The only thing holding this in is this coolant elbow. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Harness out of the way. Oh, and that's why you have to do an oil change. Take inside the motor there. See, some coolant went down inside the motor. So that's going in my oil right now. So that's why you do an oil change. Okay, let's bring this over to the table. We'll clean this nice. Let's show the back. Let me show upside down. More coolant leaking out. There's the bottom, looks good. Surfaces look nice and smooth. Okay, thank you to my assistant. I'll take the camera. This is very odd on this intake. Here's a coolant passage, I believe, right? Here's a coolant, but this one is blocked off. I don't know why. Is it supposed to be like that? And same thing on the other side. This is metal, but the gasket has an opening, and the head has an opening. See? That's odd. Here's the other coolant passage. I'm going to have to look at some new intake manifolds. Make sure it's correct. Alright, coming back to the car. You can see this engine is very clean. Beautiful inside. There's the coolant elbow that broke off. We knew that was going to happen. And this has the metal gaskets. So I'm not quite sure where the coolant leak was coming from on this car. I do know that some of the intake manifold bolts were not torqued down, so that could have been the problem. Okay, we march on. What I'm not going to show you on camera is I'm going to vacuum this out as best I could before I pull off the gaskets. Oh, just quickly, you could see how the coolant elbow looks like it broke off inside the intake manifold. So we'll get all those plastic bits out, and we're going to put the nice new metal coolant elbow back in here. Okay, this is where things get to be a little time consuming, but you really have to get the old broken off part of the plastic coolant elbows. Look at all these bits and pieces. You got to get that out of here, and also the other side. So use one of these tools, and you just pick at it. This has to be in this. You just pick at it and get everything out. This has to be a smooth surface, otherwise you're going to have a coolant leak. And to go through all this trouble, see, if you take this to a mechanic, I don't know if they're going to take the time to do this. They have to, because then they're going to have to fix it, because there's going to be a leak. Then you're going to have to bring the car back. But these are the little details. This takes a lot of time. And you have to do the other side, on the other side of the elbow too, in the car. So there you go. There's all the bits and pieces of the, there's the O-ring. I already got the O-ring out of the other side, and so I just wanted to show you. Clean that out really good when you use the metal ones. Okay, I removed the old stovepipe with vice grips and blaster, PB blaster, and the kit comes with two new ones. This is the one that will fit my intake manifold. See, I just gotta hammer that in. All right, I'm gonna hammer in the new piece here, stovepipe EGR. Goes in nicely, as you can see. Give me a bit of a hard time, as you can see. Getting there. I think it bottomed out. I think we're good. I had to give it a bit of a whack. They bought their 3800. They knew what they were getting themselves into. I say, let them crash. Okay, thank you, helper. Cut. So these are the intake runners. I was using gasoline, all kinds of things with a wire brush. Just trying to get them a little clean. You're not going to get them smooth because the way these are cast, they have like a textured surface. I'll show you the bolts. Okay, here are the bolts. Now, they're all the same, I believe, but I'm putting them in the same ports that they were in. And I'm going to use Loctite 242, which is a medium strength Loctite thread sealant. Not going to use the 272. I just think it's a little overkill for an intake manifold that's not going anywhere. The 242 will seal it and also prevent any of the bolts from backing out. And if you have to disassemble it, it's much easier to disassemble something with 242 than Loctite 272. Here's my torque wrench. It's set for 89 inch-pounds for the 3 nuts on the throttle body. I'll be doing that soon as well. Alright, I'm going to remove the alternator. First I'm going to take the serpentine belt off. There's the idler. You just use a 15 millimeter and crank that counterclockwise, I think, and then you can get the belt off. I'm going to take the alternator off, but I'm going to leave this bracket on it. Just put it on right through there, behind that wire harness going to that sensor there. So there you go. Then I'm going to take off this bracketry. This way, this will give me more room for the intake, and it'll make it easy to do both elbows, changing them to the metal ones. Alright, serpentine belt's off. And scratch that idea about me leaving this bracket. I'm going to take it off because it's perfectly in the way of me getting to that alternator mounting bolt down there. So it's easy enough just to take it off. And here's the other mounting bolt. How many are there? I think it's just 1, 2, 3. Alright. The alternator, use a 15 millimeter. That guy's a 15, that guy's a 15, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that guy's a 15 also. Okay, the alternator's out. Here's your 3 bolts. One. You got this one, which is a stud with a nut on it, and then the bracket mounts to it. That nut, and then the other one goes in this slot here. So alternator's out. By the way, the reason for me doing this is to just get all this whole thing out of the way here. Why am I doing this again? To get that bottom coolant elbow. So what I'm going to do is put the intake manifold in, and then put the new coolant elbows, one there and one there, and push them in simultaneously into the engine. This one goes, I guess, where's this one going? That one goes, looks like it's going into the block. So I'm going to have to clean that out. That's going to be fun. But it's got to be done. And this way, we'll have the 2 new coolant elbows in. Okay, bye. Okay, just noting the orientation of these 2 heating pipes that go to the heater core. It's left right as viewed from the front of the car, corresponds to left right on the firewall. I mean, you're probably not going to get them mixed up, but so I have to remove these because I want to take this whole thing off, because I'm going to have to scrape all the gunk out of that port that that darn, what's it called? Elbow was in. There it is. That plastic elbow. So I need all this out of here. Then I could get to the 2 on this, and then hopefully I can get to the 1 in the block right there. I have some ample room to work with down here once I take this big metal piece off. Alright, it's been a long Friday. Now what I did was, see this big piece here? I mean, of course the elbow got broken into here, into this big bracket here. But when you take the 3 bolts out, that enables you to rotate this so you can get to these clamps. It was hard for me to get to these clamps when this thing was bolted to the motor. So maybe that helps you. I don't know. Maybe your clamps are easy to get to. But these weren't, because they were in the back. So try not to get this dirty over here. I got a little piece of coolant there. I'm going to have to clean that. So I'm trying not to get coolant from this housing into the motor. But once I get this out of here, then I can bring it to the bench, my workbench, and pull out all the plastic bits and O-rings that got broken into it from both coolant elbows. So right now this thing has 2 broken coolant elbows inside of it, and it'll be very hard to work on while it's on the car to get those pieces out. So she's coming out, no doubt about it. Okay, that was pretty easy. There's the clamps. These were hard to get off. I just used the flathead under the hoses to work them free, and then twist them. What you want to do is grip them really hard with your hand and twist them off, and they come off. But you gotta work it with the screwdriver. Flathead screwdriver is what I used. And I got a brake. See this one? I'll show you. I'll put the torch on. Let me see if I can get in there. Look, there's the water pump. There's the little hole. And look, I got a brake. It didn't break off. There's the O-ring. See my finger? It's so flat. You can't even see it anymore. But this didn't break off into the water pump. That was the one I was a little concerned about. Only because it's hard to work down here. But look, she's clean. Look at her. Beautiful. Okay. I really want to get that intake on. I think I'm going to let that wait for the morning. It's getting dark. I don't even know what time it is. But the other side, of course, broke in the in that big bracket with the idler pulley on it. So I'll be picking at that like a dentist. I got my little pick over there, so you can see where it broke. So you can see how much is left in. Not much. I guess maybe up to my nail. 1/4 of an inch, maybe 1/8 of an inch. Now's a good time to check your power steering fluid. Boy, did they bury this thing back here. What were you guys thinking? I guess it's something that's not changed that often, but it's so hard to get to that, so you might as well clean it off and check it while you're in here. Trust me. Hi everybody. Here's a close-up of the broken coolant elbow. You could see the rest of it in there, so I'll be using this to pull it out. And here's the other one. Same deal. Broken off in there. So it was smart of me to take this bracket off. I could just come to the table here, relax, and get these pieces out. So here are the coolant elbows. Can you count how many broke when I pulled them out? 1, 2, 3. So 75% of the whatever, 75% of these things broke when I pulled them out. I don't know why. They're just brittle. but I bought the metal ones, so I just wanted you to see. There you go. Okay. Bye. Now, actually, not bye yet. I'm going to be replacing the manifold first. The lower, I'm going to put the lower intake back on. And my plan is to push this on with both coolant elbows, push it onto the motor, pushing both coolant elbows into their respective ports simultaneously. Jolly good. Hopefully my arteries look better than this. Looks like my colon. Well, I got this piece out. But I don't know where the O-ring is. I'll have to make sure it's still in there. It might have fallen out, but oops. But I need to be sure. Well, I'll clean it all out. Obviously if it's not in there, then it's not going to pose an issue when I push the other one in, because it'll be in its way. Alright, on that one the O-ring was evident, came out, and here's the part that broke off in there. Now I just have to clean this up. Make it nice and smooth so it won't leak when I put the new metal elbows in. You know what's fun about this job? I get to do it on my 2002 Buick LeSabre. And, you know, I'll have this much more experience when I do that job. When I have to do it. Right now it seems okay. It's not at the point where this job needs to be done yet, doing the gaskets. So, but I'll be doing it soon. It's a low mileage car, so, but at least I'll have the experience. Yo loy 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 pop pop loy 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 pop pop. Oops. Alright, it's hard to do this with one hand. Okay. So I just sprayed some brake cleaner on a wire brush. And inside the port here, just twisting it around, that's all. Okay, bye. She's clean as a whistle. Alright, look at that, beautiful. Looks like the inside of my box Stradivarius trumpet on a good day. Same with this one. Oh, okay. Hard to... Well, let me just put the torch on for this one. There we go. That looks good. Beautiful. Okay, I think I'm gonna call it a night. It's getting dark. I've been out here all day. Well, I got a late start today because I was up all night, woke up tired. And so I'm ending late. I don't know what time it is here. Hold on. I'll pause it, let you know what time it is. But anyway, tomorrow is reassembly day. Everything is done being cleaned. Some people are playing Spanish music. So everything is done. Just ready for reassembly. There's the beauty. She's going to be rolling down the street pretty soon. Everything is ready for reassembly. Everything's cleaned. Everything's disassembled. I can't take apart the car any more than it is. But, you know, I'd rather have a real car like this than these garbage cars they're making nowadays. They're not made to be maintained. Nobody wants to hear, oh, you need a water pump, $4,000, you know. But they're just throwaway cars. At least this is still a real car that you can actually maintain and, you know, it'll stay out of the junkyard a while. Okay. Thanks, everybody. See you tomorrow. Sunday, it's going to be in the mid-90s. Today was only like 90, 91. Mild. Okay. Tomorrow, 95. Brisk. Okay. Once again, coming to you from Long Island, New York. Thank you for watching so far and hanging out with me through this journey, which I wasn't going to make a video of. Oh, by the way, here's the old gaskets. And they're the Felpro ones. They're the same ones I just bought for the car. So this job was done before. I'm not saying it was done wrong, but for some reason, maybe it was done wrong because some of the bolts on the lower intake were very loose. Hardly even tightened. And there also could have been an issue with the upper intake plenum gasket near the stovepipe area. So this car definitely needed some attention, and we're giving her that attention. I'm going to go over to the intake and just quickly do a roto-rooter on her port, and it'll be nice and clean like this. But I'm not going to show you that. You get the idea. I just used a wire brush with some brake clean and beautiful. Clean as a whistle. Okay, good night, everybody. See you tomorrow. Okay, of course, the last thing I do for the evening, something's got to happen. I was cleaning out the intake manifold, coolant elbow port, and my brush broke inside. But that's why God made needle nose pliers. Bye. Good thing the car is made out of better parts than this wire brush.